Hello, conference. How are we all doing? Good. Well, Michael Crick asked me this morning as I was coming in before I'd even had my porridge. He said to me, what's the purpose of UKIP now that you've got Brexit? What was the purpose of that? And I said, well, Mrs. May has stolen all our ideas. She's stolen all our policies. What would she do if UKIP ceased to exist? It is more important than ever that we are around to make sure that the ruling party, whether it be Labour or Conservative, have something to think about. And hopefully we will become that ruling party. That's my objective. It's our objective in England, and it's certainly our objective in Scotland, where the Labour Party have completely collapsed. Well, I can tell you that the only campaigners for Brexit on the streets of Scotland were kippers, Scottish kippers. Tom Harris, the former Labour MP or MSP, he was an MP, I believe, who was running the Vote Leave campaign for the Tory stooges, he was invisible, as was his campaign. And Go in Scotland, they were completely manned by UKIPers. So it was UKIP that won it. The SNP expected 80-20 in Scotland. Well, we got 60-40. We didn't win, but 60-40, 40% is a good number of people. And if it hadn't been for all those Scottish kippers out on the streets, I can tell you right now, it would have been 80-20, and we would have lost Brexit. So I've got to say here and now, thanks to all the Scottish kippers that got out there, and lots of other people came up from England to help us as well. Sadly, the Scottish election, well, it was a rerun of the general election, something we expected here. We got squeezed. The Scots voted, more importantly, to stop the SNP. That was their greatest fear. That worried them more than the European situation. So they tended to, the vote that I was hoping coming from the Labour Party, about 10%, bypassed us and shot across the Tories because they were already in the Parliament, and the BBC kept us off the media, which was disgraceful. But anyway, a lot of votes went there, and it stopped Sturgeon having a majority government, which was the objective. Sadly, but we did very well. We increased our vote massively. It's always a good thing to do that. And we are moving more and more towards getting people elected. And that's our objective in Scotland. I think that Ruth Davidson has let down the Conservatives in Scotland. She was very rampantly pro the European Union, and that has upset a lot of Scottish Conservatives. Many of them are hoping or wishing to vote for UKIP, and the only thing that's holding them back is the fear of Scottish nationalism. And I am going to be working with every fibre of my being to get across the idea that they can safely vote for UKIP, and that will be a vote that will work in Scotland. Some of our campaigns have gone very well. We had a campaign about the Named Person Act, which is a disgusting piece of legislation brought up by the SNP, most illiberal piece of legislation I've ever heard in my life, where they wanted a commissar in every home in Scotland to check on every child. That is not on. That is not a democratic society. Well, we fought against it. We made a lot of fuss about it. We were on the telly about it a lot. And we even galvanised the other parties, all of whom have voted for it, and the Conservatives abstained. So they were equally guilty. We were the only party in Scotland opposing this, and we won. And it was recently in the courts, they've turned around and said this was illiberal legislation, that the Supreme Court has thrown it out and said the perpetrators were authoritarian. And that's from the Supreme Court. This shows that UKIP in Scotland are being effective, and we will be more effective. Well, Jimmy Cranky, she's been running around Europe, speaking to every president there is, plus all the presidents in the European Parliament. I think there are 5 of them. 7 of them is a good Lord. I must have missed a couple. Anyway, There are too many of them, I can assure you, and you're all paying for them, you lucky people. So anyway, Jimmy Cranky was running around making the big, oh, Scotland's staying in. Oh, no, no, we are going to stay here. We're going to have a special deal. Well, I went to see President what's he called? Schultz. And President Schultz, nice chap, he invited me in for coffee. I thought, I'll have a convention with Herr Schultz and see what he says. Anyway, he said, Scotland will not have a special deal. There will be no special deal. He received we Jimmy Cranky as you would receive any lander, prime minister from any of the German states as a matter of courtesy. There will be no deal. We entered the European Union together. We must leave the European Union together, and that is that. He told me he no more wanted the balkanization of European states than we do. He doesn't want, for example, the problems in Spain with various parts of Spain wishing to remove themselves from Spain. He doesn't want to aggravate that or any of the problems that are happening in other parts of Europe. So he's not interested in that. So whatever she says, she's talking nonsense. Brexit will be Brexit and Scotland will be out. All I can say is she has to stop this nonsense, because what she's doing is harming the Scottish economy. Scotland needs certainty. It needs to know where it's going, that it's going to be part of the United Kingdom. We voted for it. More Scots voted to remain in the United Kingdom than voted to to remain in the European Union. We need to stay in the United Kingdom to make sure our country is strong. We cannot divorce from our nearest and closest ally in England that we've been together with for the best part of nearly 400 years. It's simply not on. Scots knew when they voted in the referendum on Scottish independence that we would be voting in the future as the United Kingdom, and we voted the United Kingdom. We must abide by the rules, and the Scottish nationalists have got to get that through their head. Inconveniently for Madam Sturgeon, a third of SNP voters voted for Brexit. Not all of them like the idea of being ruled from Brussels any more than we do. And according to Section 3 of the Scotland Act, the First Minister cannot pronounce on the Constitution. She should get on with the business of running a country where it's got a £7 billion deficit and sort that out first. We can't have a barbed wire frontier 50 miles from Edinburgh. It is absolutely unimaginable. And of course, she's bringing in so many immigrants into the country. She wants to bring more and more into Scotland, and she's so desperate to keep them, she's putting them on Scottish islands, presumably because they can't escape so quickly. A lot of them, of course, want to move to Birmingham or London, where there are more people of their own background, their own nationals and own languages, and they want to start a corner shop or do something to start their own business. And in Scotland, you put somebody on an island where there are already problems with employment. It's bad for the people who already live there, and they cannot set up their own businesses. And these people are proud. They want to set up businesses. They want to contribute to society. And it's not fair of her to bring people in and to think Scotland's a separate unit. We must work on our frontiers as Great Britain, not as individual parts of the United Kingdom. Constitution. We need to be ahead of the game on this. We have to start thinking how Scotland, Ireland, various parts of the United Kingdom fit in, so that we do not have this amazing problem with the different parliaments and the rights of those parliaments and all the rest of it, and all the arguments and problems that account for that. We must try and persuade people that having our parliaments is a good thing, but we must have our UK Parliament, and that is important. So we must start making sure that the Constitution is something we're going to talk about and develop. And UKIP are the only people not frightened to talk about change. All the other parties, they don't want to talk about change. We do. And to that end, we've been writing stuff in Scotland on a future constitution that can work to keep the United Kingdom together. That's our objective. Very important. Perhaps even the idea of an English Parliament. I suggested the idea of the Witan, an ancient Saxon name for the Parliament, perhaps in York or something like that. What we have to do is we have to try and make sure the British Constitution works. We cannot go on with this civil war being created by the SNP. But good news, ladies and gentlemen, they are starting to fail. People are now realising that they are not sensible, that they are not bringing solutions, and just shouting Scotland, Scotland, Scotland is not going to solve unemployment or a deficit in the economy. They need to sort things out properly. So now is a chance for UKIP. The Labour Party's collapsed. There's a lot of votes to be got there. I'm going to go after those votes. I'm going to make sure that we have good representation in Scotland, and perhaps even in the future a Scottish government which is of a UKIP flavour. So there you go.
Thank you, David. Thank you, David.